Andy Johnson. We are going to look at literacy instruction and the field of special education. Now, first of all, that special education is not a monolithic field where everyone thinks and believes the same thing, has the same beliefs, comes to the same conclusions. It is not. It is a diverse field. Within this field, there are three major perspectives: behaviorism, cognitive psychology, and constructivism, and neuroscience or neurocognitive science. One that's not so prominent is a humanistic learning theory, which is based on the idea that the purpose of education is self-actualization, to help every person reach his or her full potential. Let's unpack that a little bit. Behaviorist says, is based on the idea that learning is a behavior. You measure learning by measuring behavior. You teach to behavioral objectives. Nothing goes on here. It's all behavioral. Cognitive psychology or constructivist says learning is not a behavior, it's a change in thinking, change in the scheme of the cognitive files up here. From a constructivist point of view, or pure cognitive psychology, you use purpose statements versus behavioral objectives. Real learning cannot be viewed. It is a change in the cognitive structures. Now, neurocognitive or neurocognitivists says learning is a physical change in the brain, a change in the neural connections and neural networks. And again, you would use purpose statements here versus behavioral objectives. Learning is an actual change in behavior. Now, in special education, you have diverse perspectives. People are asking different questions, looking at different bodies of research, have different perspectives, and they come to different conclusions. Now, I favor a cognitive perspective, a neurocognitive perspective, and or a humanist perspective. Now, labels are labels, but I do believe the true purpose of education is self-actualization. Help every person achieve his or her full potential, both cognitively, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, socially, creatively. That is the true purpose. Our job as educators is to create better human beings. We do that by helping all reach their full potential, and thereby we have the potential to change society and change the world one kid at a time. Now, this idea of pull-out, segregated instruction, from this perspective, it should be limited. This is where students go into a special classroom for special instruction. But from a literacy perspective, are there a set of super secret special education strategies that are only used with special education students? No, actually not. Here's another question. Do students, say you have a learning disability, do they ever leave this mysterious place once they enter? Think about that. All students, and I'll show you some research in a minute, learn best when included in a general education setting to the greatest extent possible. This is called inclusion or an inclusive perspective. Yes, there are times and places for segregated instruction, pull-out instruction, but that should be the absolute very last option. That's what's known as the least restrictive environment. Too often, that's the first option. Send them down the hall to get fixed. Send them down to Santa's workshop to get them all fixed. But you know what? You send them down the hall, they never come back. So this change in paradigm, I would like us to think about special education teachers as educational specialists, helping general education teachers meet the needs of all students, differentiating the curriculum in an inclusive setting. Now, here's the thing about literacy. And again, students with special learning needs are not different species, they're human beings. All human beings learn literacy in approximately the same way. All right, maybe a little faster, maybe need a little more of this and a little less of that, but the same processes are used. So the literacy strategies used in special education are the same as those used in a general education classroom. And yes, I've taught gifted ed, I've taught general education, I've taught special ed, the whole variety.